Every once in a while you come across a book that doesn't just teach you something new, it fundamentally changes how you see the world. For me, that book was Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It completely rewired my understanding of a third of my life, the third I spend asleep. In this explainer, I really want to walk you through the journey I took with this book because the revelations were just too important to keep to myself.
The whole thing starts with a question kind of like this one. And as I got deeper into the book, I realized the answer was right there, staring me in the face every single night. It's not some new, expensive supplement or a crazy diet, it's sleep. So let's dive into this together because what I found was, well, it was nothing short of life-changing.
So let's start with the first massive idea that just completely blew my mind. Most of us, myself included, used to think of sleep as downtime. A period of inactivity where the lights are off and nothing is happening, maybe even a waste of precious time. But the science is crystal clear. That is completely, fundamentally wrong. Sleep is an absolute biological necessity.
I just want to pause on this quote for a second. Sleep is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body health each day. When I first read that, it reframed everything. We're not just being lazy. We are actively engaging in the most powerful form of daily self-care that exists. It's not passive. It's a critical, life-sustaining process. Mother Nature's best effort yet at contra death. Wow. So this is the new definition I started to live by. Sleep isn't just about feeling less tired. It's this active biological process where our bodies are working overtime. They're repairing muscles, consolidating our memories, and, this is just fascinating, literally washing our brains of harmful toxins that build up during the day. This isn't optional maintenance, people. It is the very foundation of our well-being. And this slide right here, this shows you the stakes. Ignoring our need for sleep isn't just about feeling a little groggy the next day. The consequences of chronic sleep loss are severe. We are talking about a seriously increased risk of cardiovascular disease, a weakened immune system that leaves you open to every bug going around, your hormones getting thrown completely out of whack, your brain just not working right, serious mood disorders, and even, literally, accelerated aging. The list is just terrifying, and it proves that sleep is absolutely non-negotiable. Now, if sleep is so critical, and it is, you'd think we would protect it like it's a precious resource. But the reality is, we've basically engineered a society that is at war with sleep. And this isn't just a series of individual bad choices, it's become a full-blown global epidemic. And what's truly shocking is just how fast this has happened. 100 years ago, less than 2% of people in the US were getting by on 6 hours of sleep or less. Today, it's almost a third of all adults. This wasn't some slow, gradual change over centuries. This is a dramatic, recent collapse of our collective sleep. And this problem has a price tag, a staggering one. The number you see on the screen, $411 billion, that's the estimated economic loss every single year in the United States alone because of sleep deprivation. That comes from lost productivity, skyrocketing healthcare costs, and just tragic preventable accidents. This connects our personal health crisis directly to a massive national one. So the key takeaway here is that our collective sleep debt spills out far beyond our own bedrooms. It's a huge public safety issue. Did you know drowsy driving causes more accidents than alcohol and drugs combined? It's an education crisis, with sleep-deprived students consistently getting lower grades. And it's a healthcare nightmare. Medical errors, often made by exhausted, overworked doctors and nurses, are a leading cause of preventable death in hospitals. Our collective fatigue is, quite literally, killing people. Okay, so we know sleep is vital, and we know we're not getting enough of it. But how does it actually work? What's going on under the hood? This is where the science got really, really cool for me. It turns out it's not just a simple on-off switch. There are these two incredibly elegant and powerful systems that are constantly running the show inside our bodies. But before we dive into those mechanics, we have to bust a huge myth. And this quote says it perfectly. Sleep is not like the bank. We all do it, right? We pull a few late nights during the week and tell ourselves, oh, I'll just catch up on the weekend. But your brain just doesn't work that way. You can't actually pay off that debt. Many of the crucial brain and body benefits are just lost for good once you've skipped a night. So here they are, the two systems in charge. On one side, you've got your circadian rhythm. Think of it as your body's 24-hour master clock, and it's mostly guided by sunlight. It tells you when to be alert and when to start winding down. But at the same time, you have this other force called sleep pressure. As you're awake, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine you have, and the more pressure you feel to sleep. The only way to get rid of that adenosine and relieve the pressure is to actually sleep. So every day is this constant battle between these two forces.
And once we finally do fall asleep, it's not one big, boring block of nothing. We cycle through these different stages, which are dominated by two main types of sleep. First, you have NREM, or non-rapid eye movement sleep. This is deep sleep. Your brain waves get slow and synchronized. Think of this as the body's repair shop. It's for physical restoration, transferring memories, and that all-important brain cleaning. Then you have REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. Here, your brain is wildly active, almost like it is when you're awake. This is where most of your dreaming happens, and it's critical for emotional regulation, integrating memories, and even boosting your creativity. You need plenty of both every single night.
Okay, so now we know how it's supposed to work. Let's look at the scary part. What happens when we mess with that system? What really happens to your brain and your body when you pull an all-nighter or even just consistently cut your sleep short? The results are, well, they're not pretty. This right here was the single fact from the book that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm going to read it again. After being awake for 19 hours, people who were sleep deprived were as cognitively impaired as those who were legally drunk. Just think about that for a second. If you wake up at 7 a.m. and you stay up until 2 in the morning, your brain is performing at the same level as someone who was over the legal driving limit for alcohol. We would never, ever celebrate someone showing up to work drunk, but we constantly praise the person who stayed up all night to get a project done. It's insane. So, what does that cognitive impairment actually look like in real life? It's a full-on attack on everything that makes you, you. Your attention and concentration? Shattered. Your ability to learn something new and actually remember it? Gone. Your decision-making becomes reckless, your emotions become volatile and unstable. And it's not just mental. Even your physical reaction time slows down, and your strength and endurance plummet. A lack of sleep attacks you from every single angle. And that all leads to this, the most chilling conclusion in the entire book, delivered with terrifying simplicity. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your lifespan. This isn't a metaphor. It's not an exaggeration to scare you. It's a direct statement backed by an overwhelming mountain of scientific evidence. The link between consistently sleeping less than 6 hours a night and an increased risk of dying is statistically undeniable. And this chart shows how that happens. That shorter lifespan isn't some mystery. Chronic sleep loss is now powerfully linked to basically every major disease that we fear. We're talking cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders like diabetes, a higher risk of certain types of cancer, and even Alzheimer's disease. Why? Well, one leading theory is that a sleep-deprived brain can't effectively clean out the toxic proteins that are associated with Alzheimer's. It's terrifying. Now, this quote highlights a group that is particularly at risk: teenagers. During puberty, their internal body clocks, their circadian rhythms, naturally shift forward. They become biological night owls. So when we force them to wake up for school at 6 a.m., it is, as the book says, the biological equivalent of forcing an adult to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. It's fighting their biology. And by pairing this with ridiculously early school start times, we are systematically setting up an entire generation to fail. Okay, that was a lot of doom and gloom, I know, but here's the flip side. And honestly, this part is just as powerful. After learning about all the dangers, I was completely blown away by the incredible, almost magical benefits that come from actually prioritizing sleep. This isn't just about avoiding getting sick. It's about unlocking a higher level of performance, learning, and creativity in your life. This quote just turns that old saying completely on its head. Practice does not make perfect. We all assume that when we're learning a new skill, playing the piano, learning a new language, that the improvement is happening while we're actively practicing. But the research shows that a huge chunk of that improvement, of that skill getting locked in, happens after we stop, specifically when we're asleep. Sleep is basically the ultimate save button for your brain. While you're sleeping, your brain is one of the busiest places on the planet. It's cementing new memories, shifting them from a fragile, short-term holding area to the safe, long-term vault. It's integrating new skills into your muscle memory. It's also acting like a brilliant gardener, pruning away weaker, unnecessary brain connections to make the important ones stronger. And maybe the coolest part, it fosters creative problem-solving by finding and connecting ideas that you would never link while you're awake. It's why you can literally wake up with a solution to a problem. So by this point, I was completely sold. The case for sleep is just overwhelming. So the final crucial part of my journey with this book was moving from the why to the how. How do we actually start getting the sleep we so desperately need? Let's get into some of the actionable, science-backed steps. Okay, for those who have serious, chronic sleep issues like insomnia, the first thing the book makes clear is that the answer probably isn't a pill.
Sleeping pills can come with a lot of side effects, and more importantly, they don't fix the root cause of the problem. Instead, the most effective evidence-based treatment is something called CBTI, which stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. Now, CBTI is basically like physical therapy for your sleep. It's a structured program designed to retrain your brain and your habits. It involves things like stimulus control, which means reteaching your brain that your bed is for sleep and only sleep, not for worrying or working. It also uses techniques like sleep restriction, which sounds counterintuitive, but by temporarily limiting your time in bed, you actually build up stronger sleep pressure, which makes your sleep deeper and more efficient. It is a powerful, proven way to fix sleep issues for the long term.
All right, now for a super simple, super concrete tip that anybody can use tonight. The number on the screen, 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18.3 Celsius, is the ideal bedroom temperature for most people to get the best sleep. Why? Because to fall asleep, your body's core temperature needs to drop by a few degrees, and a cool room helps that process happen much faster. It is one of the easiest and most effective changes you can make.
And these are the big ones, the absolute fundamentals of good sleep hygiene. The single most important rule is regularity. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. Yes, even on weekends. This anchors your body clock. Then, keep your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Avoid the blue light from phones and TVs for at least an hour before bed. That light literally blocks your brain from producing melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep. Limit stimulants like caffeine and alcohol in the evening. And finally, create a relaxing wind-down routine to signal to your body and brain that it's time to shut down.
But as I finished the book, I realized the most crucial takeaway of all. While our individual habits are incredibly important, they're not enough to solve this crisis. We have a systemic problem. To truly fix our society's sleep debt, we need huge cultural shifts. Workplaces that don't reward burnout, schools with start times that actually align with teenage biology, and a healthcare system that finally treats sleep as the pillar of health that it truly is. And all of that brings me to this final, provocative question that has just stuck with me ever since I read it. If sleep can protect us from disease, if it can make us smarter, more creative, and emotionally stable, why on earth have we as a society decided to treat it like an enemy, an inconvenience to be overcome? Why do we still wear our lack of sleep like a badge of honor? Really thinking about that question is, I think, the first step to changing everything. Honestly, this journey through why we sleep changed my life. I'm no longer at war with my need for rest. I now embrace it as the most powerful tool I have for my health and my happiness. I really hope this explainer has shed some light on why it's so incredibly important. If you want to dive even deeper into this amazing science, I cannot recommend reading the book enough. You can find a link for it down in the description. Thanks for watching.